Welcome to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement, where planning meets purpose. Chad Slagle isn't just a financial professional, he's a coach dedicated to helping you take control of your financial future. With years of experience guiding families towards secure and fulfilling retirements, Chad is here to empower you with the tools, strategies, and confidence to make smart decisions with your hard-earned dollars. Coaching you to and through retirement isn't just his promise, it's his passion. This is the Chad Slagle Show. Now, let's hear from the coach.
Welcome to the Chad Slagle Show. I'm Amy Sharp. Joining me is the coach, Chad Slagle. He is the president and founder of Slagle Financial. Retirement is one of life's biggest transitions, and having a plan can make all the difference. Today, we're breaking it all down to help you feel confident about the road ahead. Chad, good to be with you. How are you today?
I'm very well, Amy. Thank you for having me today.
All right, we got a great show ahead of us, and I think let's just start. Let's kick things off with this idea, that setting clear goals is so important when we're setting up our retirement plans. Why so?
Well, first of all, we have to have goals in everything that we do. You know, if you don't have goals or destinations, you have no idea where you're going. You know, you think about sports teams. The first thing any good team does before they start the season is they set goals. Whether that be how many conference championship, we want to win a conference championship, how many wins are we going to have? If you get in your car and take off and have no idea where you're going, how are you going to know if you ever got there? It's the same thing with retirement planning. You need to know at what age you want to retire, what kind of lifestyle you want to have in retirement, and how much income you need coming in to support that lifestyle.
Okay, once we've got our goals set, what do we need to be thinking about in terms of those income sources that are so important? We don't get the paycheck anymore.
You're right. First of all, you need to know your number. How much income do you need coming in to support your lifestyle? You know, there's an old rule of thumb that says you need to have 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income coming in when you retire. And that means if you have a $100,000 salary coming in, when you retire, you should have $70,000 to $80,000 a year coming in. I totally disagree with that today. What I find with a lot of our clients and a lot of our prospective clients, they need the same or more money coming in. Let me ask you a question, Amy. What day of the week do you spend the most money?
Well, I would say it's going to be the weekend, so probably a Saturday.
Probably a Saturday, right? Yeah. If you think about when people are working, you know, you get up Monday to Friday, you get up, have breakfast, go to work, come home, have dinner, go to bed, do it all over again. But come Saturday, then you're going to Home Depot, you're going to the movies, you're spending money. Well, guess what? When you retire, every day is Saturday. So that's why I say most people need more money coming in to support their lifestyles and to support their hobbies and to support what they want to do when they're not working.
So true, Chad. Someone might want to be on the golf course. Others might want to go visit the grandkids, go on elaborate trips. We just need to figure out, or how do we figure out how that income applies to the lifestyle that we want?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to build a budget. And no one wants to do that. It's so uncomfortable to sit down and figure out all the bills that you have coming in. But as I tell my kids all the time, if you do what is hard now, life will be easy. If you do what is easy now, life will be hard. So you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to do that. You have to think about what bills will you have coming in when you retire, and what bills do you have now? Will you still have a mortgage or a rent? What kind of utilities do you have? Water, electric, cable, food, taxes, entertainment, insurance, fuel, credit cards. Then you have to look at where is that money going to come from to support that monthly need. Is it going to come from Social Security, pensions, wages, part-time, or are you going to continue to work full-time? Maybe you have rental income, maybe farm income or other rental income coming in. Maybe you have income coming from employer sponsor plans. Maybe you have annuities or other personal savings. So you have to think about what kind of money do you want coming in to support your lifestyle, and where is that money going to come from?
You have a great story that applies to this topic. I know you're good with these stories. Tell us what you got.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, I think about myself and my wife and our family. Think about you and your family. How much income do you have to have coming in to support your lifestyle? I mean, I talk to my friends all the time. Think about all the streaming services you have. You have Netflix, you have Hulu, you got Prime, you got all these different ones. Add those all up. How much is that? So I actually had a friend, he's an accountant by trade, runs a motorcycle shop, and he sat down with his wife and he put a spreadsheet together of all the bills that they have coming in and all the income they need coming in every month, and it completely blew them away. And that's the problem with most people today. When it comes to retirement, they're unsuccessful because they don't have any idea, number one, how much income they really need coming in, and where is that money going to come from. So it's about educating yourself and knowing what that money is and where that money is going to come from. And again, know that number.
I think this is a perfect example of not burying our heads in the sand and just, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to know type of thing. And a lot of people hesitate to even come see an advisor because they don't want to know. Am I right?
Yeah, they do. And retirement's a scary thing. Nobody wants to think about it. It's kind of like thinking about estate planning. Nobody wants to think about that. But these are all things that you have to educate yourself and you have to plan for down the road. And again, if you do those things that make you uncomfortable up front, you're going to be so much more successful in retirement once you have that budget set up and once you know where that income's coming from.
And I know you talk all of the time at Slagle Financial about the importance of the plan, getting the plan in place, which is what we would do if we were on any team.
Just like I said with goals, you have to have goals to know where you want to go, where you want to be. It's the same thing. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan when you get to retirement, you have no idea if you're going to be successful in retirement. I think about me when I was, when you're growing up, you want to go get an education in high school. The goal is to go to college and get a degree and to get a job. Then the goal is to get married. And then the goal is to have a family and buy a house and have enough money to eventually put those kids through college. You have a plan all of your life. Why would you not have a plan when you get to the point you're at 55, 60, 65 years of age and hey, I'm going to retire in 5 years or 10 years? It's never too late to start planning, and you want to do that sooner rather than later.
Okay, Chad, thank you so much. We are off to a great start, but there's so much more to cover. Stay with us as we talk about balancing risk while still having access to the money you need in retirement. The Chad Slagle Show continues right after this.
Hi, I'm Chad Slagle. At Slagle Financial, we know retirement isn't one size fits all, and it shouldn't feel like guesswork. That's why we created our Slagle Financial GPS, a step-by-step process that helps you build a custom blueprint for retirement. Whether you're focused on protecting your income, leaving a legacy, or simply gaining peace of mind, we'll walk with you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Schedule a visit with our team and let's get you successfully to and through retirement.
In life, it's good to know what you have to work with. Knowing how many nails you have before building that birdhouse. Knowing how much sugar you have before starting to bake the cake. But do you know how much income you'll be able to count on in retirement? Retirement savings are one thing, but knowing how those savings can turn into income is another. Are you confident you know what your retirement income will look like? Call our team and get a free income analysis today. We can show you what you might expect for income in retirement. Find out now so you won't have to wonder later. Call for your free analysis today.
Your dream car, the open road, and freedom. It's just one turn away. Or so you thought. Even when things look good, hidden problems can ruin your plans. Think of your retirement. At first glance, your investments might seem solid, but under the hood, what kind of risk are you exposed to? And what about taxes, income, healthcare costs? Don't let your retirement dreams stall out. Act now and get your free risk analysis to help keep you in the retirement fast lane.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show. I'm Amy Sharp. Joining me once again is the coach, Chad Slagle. In this segment, we're talking about the importance of liquidity and balancing your risk in retirement. Risk is a big word. Chad, let's jump right into this and talk about how do we know how much liquidity we need in our retirement plan?
Well, that's a good question. Really, it's not one size fits all. When it comes to liquidity, we're all different. But a good place to start is making sure you have 6 months worth of income liquid in a money market or a checking account or a savings account that you can get to today. So if you're used to living off of $20,000 a month, you should have $120,000, maybe even $150,000 of cash, if you will, liquid money that you can get to sitting in a money market, hopefully making a good interest rate. Now, if you plan on making a big purchase, like maybe you're going to remodel your house, add a bathroom on, or get a new car, then you may want to have more money on hand. But a good rule of thumb is 6 months worth of income liquid where you can get to it right now for emergency situations.
Speaking of balance, how do we manage this mix of riskier investments and safer investments? This is easier for some people than others, I imagine.
I like to use the, keep it simple. A good rule of thumb is the 100 age rule. Basically, you take 100 minus your age. So if you're 65 years of age, you take 100 minus 65, you come up with 35. What that means is 65% of your money should be safe. Where if the market has a correction, the money on that safe side, you cannot lose a dime. Now we're going to put 35 on the risk side. Why? That money is there for the long term. It's there to keep up with the rate of inflation, cost of living. That money there is to grow, but you don't have to necessarily draw from it right now. And then this is not cookie cutter, but it is a good place to start. It depends on a lot of other variables like your income needs, your lifestyle goals, your family dynamics, your liabilities, and your assets. And of course, part of your assets are your investments.
Okay, let's talk numbers then. What are the signs, I guess I should say, that we are taking on too much risk?
The number one sign would be if you open your statement every 3 months or every month, or you turn on the computer and you're unhappy that you lost money, then you might be taking too much risk.
There's your sign.
That's your sign, absolutely. But again, you want to make sure you set your money up into 3 different buckets: the secure bucket, the growth bucket, or that legacy bucket, or that extra bucket. You want to have enough money sitting in that secure bucket where, number one, you know it's safe. You cannot lose that money. That's where that 6 months worth of income is sitting. But also, when you retire, if you need income coming in, you want to make sure that income is coming from that safe bucket. So if the market has a 30, 40% correction, you know that money will not lose a dime. Then once you have that set up, then you can have some money sitting in that growth bucket. That money is there to grow. You don't need to draw that money right now. If the market has a 10, 20, or 30% correction, it's okay, because that money there is for the long term. And again, to keep up the rate of inflation, cost of living. Then you have that extra bucket, which would be that legacy or that extra bucket. That's money you have to set aside for extras. You know, we have a lot of clients that like to take their kids on one big trip every year, their kids and their grandkids. So we're talking about a very big trip. Or maybe you have money set aside that says, hey, if something happens to me, I want to make sure this amount of money goes to my kids and my grandkids tax-free. So it's really about setting your money up properly and having that plan.
Okay, on the other hand, is there danger? I don't know if that's the word we want to use here or not. Danger in playing it too safe when it comes to our investments?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the rate of inflation just a few years ago, it's higher than when Jimmy Carter was in office. Very, very high. So if the majority of your savings and retirement accounts are sitting in CDs and money market accounts, you may not have market risk, but you may have what's called tax and inflationary risk. If you have IRAs or retirement accounts that you have to draw from each and every year because of your age, then you probably will be cutting into your principal because you're taking out more than you're making just to cover those required minimum distributions, those RMDs. So even though your money is not at risk in the market, you may have low rates and inflationary risk on your money that's cutting into that principal.
I'm always curious, when you sit down with clients, is it difficult sometimes to have this conversation about you're playing this a little risky, especially if someone feels like they've been successful during their working years with their investments?
Well, there's two sides to it, right? You know, you don't want to tell people to take more risk, especially if they've been burned and they've lost 20 to 30% of their money. The problem is if they don't have that right balance, they will run out of money because they're not making enough money to stay up with the rate of inflation, especially when it comes to when you turn 73 and you have to start taking 4% of your money out. If your money's only making 3% and you're taking 4 out, you're going to begin to cut into that principal. And every year that you get older, you have to draw more and more out to cover that required minimum distribution. And if we look at interest rates right now, interest rates may, but probably not going to go any higher. They're going to continue to go down. So those are things you have to take into consideration. So to tell people to take more risk is hard to do once they've been burnt.
We've been talking about a lot of important things here on the show, and we've thrown in words like inflation, interest rates, and things like that. It all comes back to this plan, and with your team, it's the financial GPS.
Yeah, it's important. The financial GPS, it's just like we talked about earlier. You have to have goals and you have to have plans. When you get in your car today and you don't know where you're going, what's the first thing you do? You put in the coordinates of where you're at, where you want to be, and that GPS tells you turn by turn, step by step, exactly how to get there. And it also tells you what pitfalls to avoid. Too much traffic? Let's take a detour. The same thing comes with the financial GPS. And the other thing with the financial GPS, life happens. So that is something maybe you have to put in different coordinates, or maybe it gives you a detour or a reroute. And that's what's important about the financial GPS, because the next 20, 30 years of retirement, there's going to be a lot of speed bumps, and you want to make sure you have a guide leading you all the way.
Our kids have it so easy today. We used to have to pull out the old maps. Remember that?
I do
I know our viewers do.
I remember every time we would get in the car, if we took more than a 2-hour drive, absolutely, we would definitely get lost. My mom would be yelling at my dad. They'd have the map. I have no idea how they used to do it.
Oh, it's a great family trip when that happens. All right, very good. Such an important discussion, but we're just getting warmed up. Next, we'll dive into tax planning, another big topic, healthcare as well, and even leaving a legacy. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us. The Chad Slagle Show continues right after this.
More is usually better, but not when it comes to taxes in retirement. Tax rates might seem high right now, but these could be the lowest rates you ever see again. Think how that could impact your retirement. The good news is there are strategies you can take advantage of now to help lower your tax bill later and help get the most out of what you've saved for retirement. But don't delay. Time is limited and rates could rise soon. So act now to get your free tax analysis. Help uncover hidden savings and optimize your income in retirement. Take action and claim your free tax analysis now.
Hi, I'm Chad Slagle. At Slagle Financial, we know retirement isn't one size fits all, and it shouldn't feel like guesswork. That's why we created our Slagle Financial GPS, a step-by-step process that helps you build a custom blueprint for retirement. Whether you're focused on protecting your income, leaving a legacy, or simply gaining peace of mind, we'll walk with you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Schedule a visit with our team and let's get you successfully to and through retirement.
They say knowledge is power. Whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, you'll probably never say you know too much. The same is true with retirement. The more you know, the more prepared you'll be for everything in store. And we've made it easy to get started. This free offer is packed with knowledge to help answer some of retirement's biggest questions. It's our gift to you. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Act now and claim your free offer today.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show. I'm Amy Sharp, and Chad Slagle, the coach, is here with me again, as always, to help you build the retirement plan you deserve. This segment, we're talking about some big topics: taxes, healthcare, and legacy planning. You ready to dig into this?
Absolutely. Not fun things to talk about, but they're things that we all need to know about and plan for.
I was going to say, we don't have a lot of time. We better get right to it. Let's start with this, taxes. Give us one simple step, if you can, to manage taxes in retirement, because things take a shift.
They do. So the thing is, you need to look at tax at a macro level, not a micro level. So I think about my family and what happens in our house. Come January, February, March of every year, what do we get in the mail? We get all these 1099s and all these tax statements, and it drives my wife nuts. So what I do is I get a file, I bring it home, and I say, listen, honey, take all these things that say important tax information, put it in this file, and then come mid-March, we're going to go to the CPA, we're going to plop it down, and we're going to ask that CPA, how can we save taxes this year on our money? So we're looking at taxes at a 1 year at a time at a micro level, but what if you looked at taxes over a 10-year, 20-year, or a 30-year period? We're not talking about saving thousands of dollars. We're talking about saving hundreds of thousands of dollars on your tax. So I think that's very important. Don't look at taxes at a 1 year at a time. Look at 10, 20, 30 years at a time at a macro level.
Next big topic, healthcare. It can seem like a wild card. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the future holds for us. How can someone plan for those unexpected costs that can come up with healthcare issues?
Like with anything, whether it's your money, whether it's healthcare, you always want to, unfortunately, plan for the worst so you are prepared. You know, if you or your spouse were to have an accident or get sick, what is going to be your max out-of-pocket expenses if you had to go to the hospital and have something major happen? If you're over 65 years of age, you should have a good Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan. And make sure you're not overpaying for these. When we talk real quick about Medicare supplements, you know, they supplement whatever Medicare, which when you turn 65 becomes your primary insurance, they pay the majority of all those bills. However, they're all standardized by the government. So let's say you have a Plan G. All Plan Gs are exactly the same from one company to another. The difference is what you pay out of your own pocket. So make sure you're smart and make sure that you're not overpaying for those. So you really need to understand the standardized plans and also educate yourself. Should it be a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, and know the difference between the two?
Okay, let's talk legacy now. Chad, what should people be thinking about in terms of making things easier for their loved ones? A lot of people want to leave something for their loved ones, their kids, their grandkids. It's not always simple, though.
It's not always simple. You know, we all want to tell our parents that we're going to take care of you if you get sick. The problem is that's not as easy to do. So long-term care is one of the biggest things that could wipe out your savings that a lot of us don't plan for. You know, when we talk about long-term care, you have three options. You could pay for it out of your own pocket, but depending on what area you live in, it could be anywhere from, you know, $20,000 a month or more. You could go get long-term care insurance, but the problem is with long-term care insurance today, most long-term care insurance policies, once you pay into them for 5 or 6 years, then they increase the premiums, so they continue to go up. And what happens if you pay into this 20, 30 years and never ever need it? Your family's out all that money. So what we recommend to a lot of our clients is buying life insurance with a long-term care rider. That way, if you pay into it for 20, 30 years, whatever you put into it, plus the gains or interest would go directly to your beneficiary. So now you not only have long-term care, but if you don't use it and only use a part of it, whatever is left there, let's say the death benefit, would go directly to your beneficiaries tax-free. And oh, by the way, if you pay into it for 20, 30 years and never need it, all those premiums you put in builds up a cash value that you can go in and get as well if you no longer want to use it for long-term care or you just want to use a part of it.
I do love this idea that life insurance has kind of new purposes now than what we just think about when we get married and have kids and we set that policy in place and maybe we don't need it as we get older.
You know, life insurance 20, 30 years ago was you had life insurance to cover your debt. If I pass away, the home's paid for and everything's taken care of. However, life insurance has so many other features that most people and even most advisors really don't know about, with the cash value, using it to grow not only for a death benefit, but for long-term care. But oh, by the way, if you pay into it for 20, 30 years and you're still here and you didn't pass away, guess what? Now you can go get all that money out and use it yourself. And a lot of times you can do that at a tax advantageous basis for you and your family.
Okay, just to stay on the legacy talk part of this, planning. People don't always plan for this legacy piece, even though it's so important. They don't always set something in place so that everybody's taken care of, or they maybe set it in place and they don't go check on those beneficiaries.
And the reason they don't, again, it's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to think about, I might go to a nursing home or I might pass away. But in my opinion, you're doing your kids, your beneficiaries, whoever, maybe your church, whoever, you're doing them a huge disservice if you don't plan ahead. It's your responsibility to plan ahead. Also, it's a huge responsibility. You mentioned beneficiaries. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times we sit down and the beneficiaries are not set up properly, which the problem then, the state becomes the beneficiary or the government becomes the beneficiary, not your kids or your grandkids, whoever you want lined up to do that.
And that is the last thing you want when all the emotion is going on at the same time. You don't want to then have to go through the courts, the probate process, and all of that just to take care of your loved ones.
And I gotta be honest with you, if I wasn't a financial planner, if I haven't been doing this for the past 30 years, I may not have that plan because it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable with me sitting down with my parents that are in their early 80s right now and say, if something happens away, who do you want everything to go to? I want to make sure that you're not in a nursing home because my parents, they only live off of Social Security and a very small pension. I helped them out a lot. They couldn't afford to pay for long-term care at $20,000 a month. Then what happens is you go on Medicaid, you don't know where you're going to be, what kind of care you're going to be getting. So it's important to be proactive and build that plan now, not only for you and your spouse, but most important of all, for your kids, so they don't have that burden because there's a lot of emotion that is involved when mom and dad are sick.
Okay, really important insight. Thank you so much, Chad. After the break, it's time for the Coach's Corner, where Chad will bring it all together and fill you in on the financial GPS. Don't go away.
In life, it's good to know what you have to work with. Knowing how many nails you have before building that birdhouse. Knowing how much sugar you have before starting to bake the cake. But do you know how much income you'll be able to count on in retirement? Retirement savings are one thing, but knowing how those savings can turn into income is another. Are you confident you know what your retirement income will look like? Call our team and get a free income analysis today. We can show you what you might expect for income in retirement. Find out now so you won't have to wonder later. Call for your free analysis today.
Retirement planning shouldn't feel like guesswork. I'm Chad Slagle, and that's why we created the Slagle Financial GPS, our step-by-step guided planning system. It's not a cookie-cutter approach, it's a customized roadmap built around your goals, designed to bring clarity to your investments, protect what matters most, and help you navigate tax and income with confidence. Take the first step, come meet our team and discover how the Slagle Financial GPS can guide you to and through retirement. Call today, your future starts now.
Your dream car, the open road, and freedom is just one turn away. Or so you thought. Even when things look good, hidden problems can ruin your plans. Think of your retirement. At first glance, your investments might seem solid, but under the hood, what kind of risk are you exposed to? And what about taxes, income, healthcare costs? Don't let your retirement dreams stall out. Act now and get your free risk analysis to help keep you in the retirement fast lane.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show. This is the part of our show where we turn it over to the coach. Chad is going to explain how everything we've talked about today works together and how the financial GPS can help you make sense of it all. Chad, take it away.
Yes, Amy, it's so important to make sure you have goals set up for retirement. You know, it's more important to have a plan as opposed to a pile of money. Also, you want to make sure you're using the 100 age rule in retirement, and make sure you separate your money into 3 different buckets: the secure bucket, the growth bucket, and that legacy bucket, or that extra bucket, if you will. And speaking of legacy, let me tell you a little bit about me. When I started out in this business in my 20s, and I would sit down with a potential client, I would look across that table and treat that person as if I were sitting in front of my grandparents and what would be best for them. Later on in my career, when I got into my 30s and 40s, when I sat across from a prospective client, I would look at that person like I was talking to my parents. And this is what I would recommend for my parents. Now that I'm in my early 50s, I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And what I mean by that is, now I look at what kind of lifestyle do I want to have in retirement, and what's important to me and my wife. And the whole goal is I want to make sure that I have enough income coming in to take care of myself and my wife and allow us to live the lifestyle that we want to. Travel, spend time with kids, and hopefully eventually grandkids, and maybe even a second home. But when it is time for me and her to walk out on life, I want to make sure these assets are passed on to my kids and my grandkids in the most tax efficient manner, and not the government, and definitely not a nursing home. How can I do that? I can do that by using proper legacy tools like life insurance, Roth conversions, and making sure that we have the proper estate plan set up to accomplish our goals. How could you do it? You can do it by using life insurance, Roth conversions, proper estate planning. There are many options. It's all about finding the right one for you. And that's where our financial GPS comes in. Imagine you're getting in your car to take off on a long trip. You wouldn't set off without a GPS, right? It tells you where you're starting from, where you're headed, and how to get there as efficiently as possible. Well, retirement works the same way. That's exactly why we developed the financial GPS. The financial GPS does for your retirement what a GPS does for your drive. It helps you figure out where you are financially, what your retirement goals look like, and the best strategies to get there. It takes the guesswork out of planning and gives you a clear step-by-step roadmap to follow. And here's the best part. My team and I are ready to put the financial GPS to work for you. We'll sit down with you, understand your unique goals, and guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Reach out today to get started with your very own financial GPS. Remember, retirement is not the beginning of the end. It is a new beginning. That's all for this week. Back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Chad. Great advice, as always. And thank you for joining us today. Remember, with the right plan, you can feel confident about the road ahead in retirement. We'll see you next time right here on The Chad Slagle Show.